the islands of no return. There are places on this earth that do not want to be found, places where maps fade and memory ends. They call to us, not with open arms, but with a warning, whispering, "Do not come here." We humans are creatures of endless curiosity. We have walked on the moon. We have looked into the heart of atoms. But some corners of our own world still say, no further. Tonight, we begin our journey into those shadows. Places that cannot be visited, that should not be visited, because what lies there is not meant for us to see. Chapter 1. North Sentinel Island, the island that time forgot. Far out in the Bay of Bengal, surrounded by turquoise waters and sharp coral reefs, lies a green jewel of jungle and beach. North Sentinel Island. At first glance, it looks like paradise. Warm air, white sands, tall palms waving above clear blue sea. But this paradise hides a silence that no visitor ever survives. For over 60,000 years, an ancient tribe, the Sentinelese, has lived here in total isolation. They hunt with handmade bows. They fish in shallow water. They build small huts from leaves and branches. They light fires, dance, sing, and live exactly as their ancestors once did, untouched by the outside world. But the moment outsiders appear on the horizon, something changes. The island awakens. Sound of footsteps on sand, a faint rustle from the jungle. Then, the sharp twang of a bowstring. They emerge from the trees, dark silhouettes, silent, watching. Men with spears and arrows tipped in iron scavenge from shipwrecks. Eyes fixed, bows raised. And then, the first arrow flies. The sound of an arrow cutting through air. Silence. No one is welcome here. Not explorers. Not missionaries. Not film crews or governments. The stories of those who tried. In 1896, a convict escaped from a nearby prison and washed up on the island shores. Days later, a search party found him, lying on the beach, pierced with arrows, throat cut. In 1974, a film crew tried to make contact. They brought gifts, coconuts, fruits, even a pig. But as they approached, the islanders fired arrows that struck one of the cameramen in the leg. The footage was never finished. In 2006, two fishermen, drifting too close while sleeping in their boat, ran aground. They were killed instantly. When a rescue helicopter arrived, arrows rained up from the forest canopy, forcing it to retreat. Sound of helicopter blades, echoing arrows, then fading ocean wind. Since then, the Indian government has made the island completely off limits. No ships may pass within 3 nautical miles. No flights may circle overhead. The island remains sealed, a human time capsule, protected by hostility and distance. And so, the world leaves them alone, or tries to. Sunrise as civilization frozen in time. Narrator, softly. Scientists say the Sentinelese are descendants of the very first humans to leave Africa. They have lived on that island longer than any empire has ever stood. Longer than the pyramids have watched the desert. Longer than the idea of history itself. Think of that. A people living the same way since before cities, before writing, before steel. And perhaps they look at us, our ships, our drones, our hunger to know, and see danger, not discovery. Perhaps they remember something we have forgotten. that not all knowledge is meant to be shared, that sometimes survival means silence. Soft, sad music, the sound of waves growing distant. Maybe the Sinhalese are not the ones who are primitive. Maybe they're the ones who are free. Fog transition, the sea between shadows. The ocean is full of islands. Each one is a world. Each one carries secrets. Some, like North Sentinel, keep the world away with arrows. Others, with ghosts. And as the moonlight touches the water, we sail toward another island. Smaller, colder, haunted not by the living, but by the dead. Soft bells toll in the distance. Waves lap against stone. Chapter 2, Poveglia Island, the black heart of Venice. In the lagoon of Venice, there is a small patch of land that the locals will not speak of after dark. An island hidden behind mist, forbidden by law, and cursed by legend. Its name is Poveglia. They say even birds avoid it, that when the wind is right, the smell of ash still drifts across the water. A faint, haunting violin tone rises. For centuries, Venice was a city of beauty and of death. When the Black Plague swept through Europe, bodies piled high in the streets. So the city made a terrible decision. All who were sick, dying, or simply suspected of illness were taken away by boat. Where? To Poveglia. There, on that lonely island, they were left to die. Mass graves were dug, corpses burned, the air thick with smoke and fear. Historians believe over 100,000 people were burned and buried there. To this day, half the soil of Poveglia is said to be human ash. Fire the island's second life. When the plague ended, the island was abandoned. But not for long. In the early 1800s, the government built a mental hospital there. They thought isolation would bring peace. It brought madness. Patients reported whispers, footsteps, shadows that moved against the light. Doctors ignored them until one began to believe. A man known only as Dr. B. He claimed the island's energy could cure insanity. He performed experiments, lobotomies, surgeries, using crude tools and pain. The patient screamed, but no one listened. Until, one night, the doctor climbed to the top of the island's bell tower and threw himself, or was pushed from it. They say he survived the fall for a moment, and as he looked up, dying, he saw something standing over him. No one knows what. A faint single bell tolls, distant, hollow. The hospital closed soon after. Today, the building still stands, windows broken, ivy crawling over stone. Inside, rusted beds and surgical tables remain. The bell tower is silent, but the stories are not. Anchor the Forbidden Island today. Boats are not allowed to dock there. The Italian government sealed it off, citing public safety. Even fishermen avoid sailing near its shores. Those who do say they hear faint cries across the water at night, and that sometimes, when the fog thickens, you can see a flicker of orange light, as if the fires of the plague still burn. Long pause. The sound of gentle wind and waves. Is it haunted? Maybe. Or maybe, after centuries of suffering, the island has simply learned to remember. Milky Way, closing reflection. Narrator calm, haunting. 2 islands, 2 worlds lost to time. One untouched by modern man. The other scarred by what man has done. Both forbidden. Both holding truths we may never understand. Perhaps it's better that way, because sometimes the line between what is sacred and what is cursed is too thin to walk upon. Soft ambient music swells, the sound of waves returning. Next, we'll leave the ocean behind. We'll travel inland, to deserts where governments guard secrets under endless skies, to places marked only by fences, cameras, and silence. Because while some places are forbidden by nature, others are forbidden by power. Part 2, Governments and Shadows. There are places where nature forbids us to go. Islands, volcanoes, frozen wastes. But there are other places, forbidden not by nature, but by power. Behind wire fences and concrete gates, under deserts, inside mountains, beneath cities, are secrets built by human hands. These are the places our governments deny, where truth is hidden behind steel, and silence has a price. Welcome to the shadows. A lone note hums beneath the wind. The sound of a slow radio signal fades in and out. Static, voices whispering coded beeps. Flying Saucer, Chapter 1. The Desert That Doesn't Exist. Area 51. In the vast, empty desert of Nevada, there's a road that leads to nowhere. A highway with no lights, no signs, just dust, cactus, and silence. At its end, surrounded by mountains, lies a flat expanse of cracked earth, Groom Lake, and on its dry bed stands one of the most secret places in the world, a base that for decades officially did not exist. Area 51. Even now, the air around it feels heavy, as if the desert itself is holding its breath. Sound of a faint, low rumble, a jet passing overhead, barely audible. For years, the government denied its existence. It appeared on no map. Its coordinates were erased. Even satellites were told to look away. And yet, strange lights were seen in the night sky, dancing, hovering, moving faster than any known aircraft. Locals began to whisper, aliens, ships, cover-ups. Studio microphone, the birth of a secret. Narrator. In truth, Area 51 began in the 1950s, at the height of the Cold War. The CIA and the U.S. Air Force needed a remote place to test new spy planes. They found it here, a dry lake in the Nevada desert, so isolated that even the wind seemed to forget it. Here they built the U-2, a jet that could fly higher than any other, so high that radar could not touch it. Later came the A-12 Oxguard, a black triangle of titanium, so fast it could outrun its own shadow. When civilians spotted these aircraft streaking across the sky, they didn't know what they were seeing. And so, the legend of UFOs was born. To hide the truth, the government said nothing, and the silence was louder than any answer. The men in the desert. Narrator. Area 51 is a fortress of secrecy. Fences stretch for miles, marked with warnings. Use of deadly force authorized. Guards, the camo dudes, watch from the hills. Faces hidden, scopes glinting in the sun. No one knows who they work for. They say nothing. They appear from nowhere. If you cross the line, even by accident, they appear in seconds. Guns drawn, silent, waiting. They never arrest you. They only escort you back to the world. Sound, crunch of boots on gravel, wind rustling a flag. Inside, the rumors say, are hangars holding things not made by human hands. fragments of craft that fell from the sky, beings not of this earth. Of course, the officials deny it. They say it's all nonsense. That Area 51 is nothing more than a test facility. But the question remains, why does a place that doesn't exist need guards who can kill to protect it? Music deepens, a slow, metallic drone. Perhaps the truth is not extraterrestrial at all. Perhaps it's something even stranger. Our own creations, too advanced, too dangerous, too powerful to be shown. Machines meant not for the stars, but for us. Chapter 2, Kapustanyar, Russia's Roswell. Cold wind, distant thunder, the faint hum of electricity. Across the world, deep in the Russian steppe, there's another desert, barren, empty, guarded. A place so secret, even its name was once forbidden to speak. Kapustanyar. It began like Area 51 in the 1940s. The Soviets used it to test rockets, weapons, and something darker. In 1948, locals reported seeing a ball of fire crash from the sky. The army arrived within hours, sealed the area, and took everything away. Witnesses vanished. The story disappeared into silence. For decades, strange lights were seen there at night, green and orange orbs hovering above the plains. Soviet pilots reported craft that could stop midair and shoot upward faster than any jet could follow. Some believed it was alien. Others believed it was human experimentation gone wrong. A faint metallic rumble, like thunder behind concrete. Declassified documents years later hinted at things buried underground. Vaults where objects from the crash were stored, where scientists worked in secrecy, where something was kept alive. And like its American twin, Kapustanyar still lives in shadow. It appears on no official maps. Its perimeter is patrolled by armed guards. And even now, when satellites pass overhead, strange electromagnetic interference appears, as if the Earth itself wants to keep it hidden. Chapter 3, Mount Weather, the city beneath the mountain. Not all forbidden places are about aliens or skies. Some are about survival, of a nation, of its secrets, of its leaders. In the quiet hills of Virginia lies a mountain called Mount Weather. From the outside, it looks ordinary, covered in forest, small roads winding between the trees. But beneath it lies an entire city, echoing footsteps in an underground tunnel, dripping water, machines humming. Mount Weather is a continuity of government facility, built during the Cold War to shelter the most powerful people in the United States. In case of nuclear war, hidden behind blast-proof doors are living quarters, communications hubs, offices, cafeterias, dormitories. Everything needed to run a government underground. It has its own water, power, and oxygen systems, its own broadcast station, and even its own police force. In the event of a catastrophe, the surface government would fall, but the one beneath Mount Weather would rise. Soft radio chatter plays faintly. Control to command, all systems secure. Candle the ghosts of disaster. Narrator, when tragedy strikes, Mount Weather awakens. On September 11th, 2001, officials were quietly evacuated there as the towers fell. No cameras, no statements, just silence and motion underground. And when the skies above Washington went dark, the mountain glowed. For weeks afterward, trucks were seen entering through the hidden gates. supplies going in, nothing coming out. Even now, no one knows how deep the tunnels go. Some say there are miles of corridors reaching to neighboring mountains. Others whisper that it connects to an even larger underground network, spanning the entire East Coast. Mount Weather is not a myth. It is real, but the truth of what lies inside remains sealed behind reinforced doors, locked with silence, buried under history. New Moon Interlude, The Price of Secrecy. Quiet ambient music, slow and reflective. Narrator. Secrecy is a strange thing. It begins as protection, a shield, but over time, it becomes a wall. Behind that wall, truth begins to change. It warps, twists, becomes rumor, myth, fear. Every government, every empire, every age has built its own forbidden places. Bolts, bases, laboratorios, temples, all designed to hide what they could not explain or what they could not control. Perhaps that's what connects them all. From the deserts of Nevada to the steppes of Russia, from the vaults of the Vatican to the depths of the sea. They are not hiding from us. They are hiding us from what's inside. Low heartbeat-like pulse fades into silence. Transition toward the sacred and the sealed. Our next journey will take us not into bunkers or bases, but into sanctuaries, places sealed not by law or by war, but by faith. From the Vatican's secret archives to the tomb of an emperor, we'll step into the forbidden places, where humanity hides its oldest truths. Because even within holiness, there are doors that no one may open. Part 3, The Vaults of Faith and Time. Every secret base hides something man-made, but there are other secrets, far older, far quieter, sealed not by soldiers, but by priests, by kings, by the passage of centuries. These are the vaults of faith and time, where the past is not destroyed, only locked away. Candle Chapter 1, The Vatican Secret Archives. Soft ambient choir hum. Footsteps echo through stone corridors. Narrator. In the heart of Rome, beyond the crowded plazas and golden domes, stands a wall, simple, ancient, guarded by time itself. Behind it lies one of the most mysterious libraries in the world, the Vatican's Secret Archives, a name that stirs curiosity and fear in equal measure. It's said to hold more than 85 kilometers of shelves, lined with scrolls, manuscripts, letters, and coded documents, some older than entire nations. Only a handful of scholars are allowed inside each year, and even they can request only specific items. The rest of its depths remain unlit, unseen, untouched. They say the archives contain letters written by kings and emperors, records of heresy trials, the confessions of Galileo, and orders that changed the course of history. But others whisper of darker things, books that record forbidden rituals, proof of miracles never revealed, and perhaps even the true name of God, hidden from mortal tongues. Church, the power of silence. Narrator. The Vatican calls it Archivum Secretum Apostolicum Vaticanum. But secret here, it doesn't mean forbidden. In Latin, it means private. The Pope's own archive, his vault of truth. And yet, secrecy itself can create its own shadows. In the late Middle Ages, rumors spread that the Church hid records, proving it altered Scripture. That ancient texts from Alexandria were locked away here, and that beneath the archives lay tunnels leading to crypts, where relics of unknown origin rest in gold. Modern researchers who have entered describe endless corridors, dust, silence, the smell of time. They say it feels less like a library and more like a cathedral of memory. Imagine the secrets contained in a place like this. Letters between Michelangelo and the popes. The trial records of the Knights Templar. Maps of vanished empires. And documents stamped, classified hundreds of years before the word even existed. Candle the Lost Letter. Narrator. In 2012, a letter was found inside the archives. A small parchment sealed in wax, addressed to the Pope in 1633. It was written by a man who dared to say that the earth moved around the sun. That man was Galileo Galilei. Inside, he pleaded for mercy, for science, for truth, for the right to speak what he had seen with his own eyes. But the church could not allow the world to shift beneath them. Galileo was condemned, his words silenced for centuries. And yet, that letter, that small piece of human defiance, still rests here, sealed in the Vatican's shadowed vaults. Soft strings rise, slow and mournful. Crystal Ball, the Forbidden Books. Narrator. The Vatican denies it holds any forbidden texts, but whispers tell of another room, a sealed chamber, accessible only to a few cardinals, where the oldest codices of human belief are kept. Books bound in human skin, scrolls describing angels not as divine messengers, but as ancient beings of fire and sound. Some say these writings trace back to before the flood, records of a civilization erased from Earth's memory. True or not, one thing is certain: the archives guard not only history, but the idea of knowledge itself. Knowledge that might shatter faith or forge it anew. Chapter 2. The Tomb of the First Emperor. Across the world, in the misty hills of Xi'an, China, lies another forbidden place, one untouched for more than 2,000 years. The tomb of Qin Shi Huang, the first emperor of a united China. He was a ruler obsessed with immortality. He burned books, silenced scholars, and commanded thousands to build him a palace beneath the earth. A kingdom for eternity. Sound of pickaxes striking stone, echoing underground. When he died, they say, his craftsmen sealed him within, alongside rivers of flowing mercury, and a ceiling painted with the stars. To guard him, an army of clay soldiers was created, each one unique, each one facing outward, as if to defend him even in death. We know them now as the Terracotta Army. Crossed towards the city beneath the mound. Narrator. Since its discovery in 1974, only the outer chambers of the tomb have been explored. The main burial mound, the emperor's own resting place, remains untouched. Why? Because the ancient texts were right. Tests of the soil revealed extraordinarily high levels of mercury, enough to poison anyone who enters. The air itself above the tomb shimmers faintly with toxic breath. It is said the emperor designed it this way, to make his afterlife untouchable. Archaeologists know the main chamber lies beneath nearly 100 feet of earth, sealed with bronze and protected by traps. But none dare open it. Not yet. The tomb of Qin Shi Huang remains sealed, untouched by light, its treasures unseen since the day it was closed. Some believe that deep inside, machines of gold and mercury still hum in darkness. Ancient mechanisms designed to last forever. Perhaps one day we'll open it, but until then, the Emperor still rules below. Chapter 3: The Caves of Lost Light. In the hills of southern France, hidden behind sealed doors and locked gates, lie the Lascaux Caves, a world older than civilization itself. Here, more than 17,000 years ago, humans painted the walls with the story of their lives. Bison, horses, stags, stars. The first art, the first memory, the first attempt to make meaning from darkness. But now, these caves are forbidden. No one is allowed inside. Fog the day the paintings died. Narrator: when the caves were first discovered in 1940, they became a wonder of the world. Thousands came to see the ancient paintings, to walk where our ancestors once stood. But soon, something began to change. The breath of visitors, the light from flashbulbs, and the heat of bodies began to destroy the art. Fungus and mold appeared on the walls, spreading like shadows across the animals. By 1963, the French government made a painful choice. They closed the caves forever. Only a few scientists, wearing sealed suits and masks, may enter for minutes at a time, to clean, to preserve, to make sure the oldest story on Earth does not fade away. Soft hum, like wind through a tunnel. Fire the memory of fire. Narrator: today, visitors can only see Lascaux 2, a replica built stone by stone, paint by paint. But some say that when you stand inside the real cave, the air still feels alive. Like the breath of those who painted it still lingers. And perhaps that's the mystery of it all. Not every forbidden place hides danger. Some hide something far more fragile. Beauty, the kind that can't survive our touch. Silence, the drip of water fades. Interlude, the weight of time. Soft music, a low cello, distant echoes of wind. Narrator: each of these places, the Vatican, the tomb of Qin Shi Huang, the Lascaux Caves, hold something sacred. They remind us that mystery is not only about fear, it's also about reverence. We're a species that builds walls around what we cannot understand. We guard the unknown, as if it were a flame that might burn us, or light the world anew. Faint choral note fades into quiet. Next, we journey even deeper, into the coldest and most dangerous forbidden places on the planet. Places where even time stops moving, and life itself dares not enter. Part 4: The Frozen Frontiers. The world's coldest places are not empty. They are quiet, and in their silence, they hold secrets no one was meant to find. From the endless white of Antarctica to the hidden vaults buried beneath the Arctic, these frozen frontiers guard mysteries that time itself can no longer reach. In the snow, nothing decays. Nothing dies. Everything waits. So tonight, we travel into the ice, to the edges of the earth, and beyond. Chapter 1: Antarctica, the continent of secrets. At the bottom of the world lies a land of ice, larger than Europe, colder than Mars, older than any city or nation. No one lives here. No one rules here. And yet, every major power on Earth is watching it. Welcome to Antarctica. The sound shifts, footsteps crunching on snow, a low rumble of machinery. Compass the Great White Map. Narrator. For centuries, explorers called it the Terra Incognita, the unknown land. Sailors dreamed of it, died for it, and for centuries it was only a myth. Then, in 1820, it was finally seen, a continent of endless ice, untouched by man. But in the years since, Antarctica has become a different kind of myth, a place filled with forbidden zones, hidden labs, and rumors of ancient things buried below. The mountains beneath the ice, beneath the endless snow, scientists discovered something impossible. A range of mountains buried entirely under ice. The Gambert-Sev Mountains, as large as the Alps, completely hidden and untouched for 34 million years. No one knows how they formed, or why they are still so sharp, when time should have worn them smooth. The ice above them is over 2 miles thick, and below that, seismic readings hint at something stranger still. Caverns, heat, movement. Some say there's an ancient lake trapped under the mountains, a lake that has never seen the sky. And they're right. Water wave the black waters of Lake Vostok, buried beneath nearly 4 kilometers of solid ice, lies Lake Vostok, one of the largest freshwater lakes on Earth, completely sealed from the surface for more than 15 million years. When Russian scientists began drilling toward it in the 1990s, they had no idea what they would find. They reached the lake in 2012. The water that gushed out had not touched air since before humans existed. Inside, they found something alive, a faint pulse, distant sonar ping, microbes, thousands of them, unknown to science, thriving in total darkness. In pressures and temperatures no life should survive. And the deeper they went, the stranger it got. Some samples showed DNA, unlike anything known on Earth, a code that didn't match bacteria, plants, or animals. Something alien. The Russian team quickly sealed their reports. The lab went silent. Then nothing. For years, no new samples were released. Theories spread. Had they found something ancient preserved in the dark? A form of life from before the ice? Or something that never belonged to this world at all? Operation High Jump. Narrator. In 1946, just after the Second World War, the U.S. Navy launched an expedition to Antarctica. Operation High Jump. Officially, it was a research mission. Unofficially, it carried over 4,000 men, 13 ships, and aircraft equipped for combat. Why send a fleet to an empty, frozen land? Some said it was to find Nazi bases rumored to be hidden in the ice, where the last secrets of the Third Reich had vanished. Others claimed it was to test military technology in extreme cold. But the mission ended suddenly. Ships returned damaged. Several planes crashed. The reports were classified. Admiral Richard Byrd, who led the mission, later warned of an enemy with the ability to fly from pole to pole at incredible speeds. Radio static crackles. Bird's distorted voice. They can fly from one pole to the other, and then silence. Operation High Jump became legend, a mystery frozen in time. DNA, the forbidden bases. Narrator. Today, Antarctica is divided by invisible lines, each nation's slice of ice. But under the Antarctic Treaty, no one can claim it, and no military activity is allowed. at least on paper. Satellite images show strange geometric patterns in the snow. Massive rectangular clearings, perfect circles of melted ice, and tunnels that stretch for miles. What causes them? No one knows. But every few years, a new research station appears. Unmarked, unnamed. Even the scientists who work nearby say they don't know who built them. Some believe these outposts study magnetic anomalies that spike beneath the ice. Others whisper about something else. Structures buried so deep they predate humanity. Wind grows louder, a low rumble like shifting ice plates. Chapter 2, The Doomsday Vault. Far to the north, on a remote Arctic island called Svalbard, there is another forbidden place. Not for what it hides, but for what it protects. They call it the Svalbard Global Seed Vault, but the world knows it by another name. The Doomsday Vault. Soft hum of lights flickering on. A door slams shut behind us. Inside this frozen mountain are more than 1 million seeds from every corner of Earth. The genetic code of our planet's food supply, locked away in case the world above ends. The vault was built to survive everything. War, plague, flood, even nuclear fire. It sits 400 feet into the permafrost, at a perfect temperature to keep life asleep forever. Low hum deepens. Frost crackles. We're in a vault that thinks. Narrator. The vault is fully automated. It opens only when summoned by international approval. There are no guards, no staff inside. The mountain itself keeps watch. But in 2017, a strange thing happened. Temperatures rose. The permafrost melted. Water flooded the entrance tunnel. The first and only failure in its history. No seeds were lost. But something odd was noted by engineers afterward. The electronic systems had self-corrected before human crews arrived, as if the vault had anticipated the breach. Soft electric hum rises, faintly rhythmic. Of course, it's just automation, just programming, just the mind of man inside a machine. Or perhaps the first sign that life, even stored in silence, finds a way to protect itself. Chapter 3, The Holes in the Ice. Narrator. In 2018, a satellite scanning Antarctica found something impossible. A hole the size of Maine, open in the middle of the ice sheet. Scientists called it a polynya, a gap where warm water meets cold air. But this one was different. It appeared in the same place as a similar hole, seen more than 40 years earlier. For decades, nothing. Then suddenly it reappeared in the exact same coordinates. Some scientists believe it's a sign of deep volcanic activity. Others think it's the breath of something beneath, a pocket of heat, or even a massive underground cavern, connected to the hidden lakes below. Whatever it is, it breaks through miles of solid ice, as if the Earth itself is exhaling. And then it closes again, leaving nothing behind but the whisper of wind across a frozen sea. New Moon Interlude, The Edge of the World. Narrator. Every explorer who's ever reached the poles says the same thing. It feels like standing at the edge of creation. In the silence, you can hear your own heartbeat. You can feel the planet's curve beneath your feet. Maybe that's why the world's coldest places draw the strangest stories. Ancient ruins beneath the ice, hidden civilizations, and visitors not from Earth. But maybe the truth is simpler. and far more haunting. Perhaps these places are forbidden, not because of what's hidden there, but because they remind us how small we are. Outro: what the ice remembers. The ice remembers everything. Every breath, every footprint, every fall of ash from forgotten fires. And when it melts, the past rises again. The air of extinct worlds, the bones of vanished beasts, the ghosts of our own beginnings. In that way, the frozen frontiers are not truly silent. They're just waiting for us to listen. Next, we travel into the places humanity was never meant to enter. Cursed zones, radioactive cities, and islands of the dead. Places where the earth itself says, no further. Part 5, The Last Gate. Every map has edges. Every story has a border where words stop and silence begins. You've crossed deserts and oceans, mountains and ruins. You've seen places erased from memory and fenced by fear. But there is one more frontier left. Not a mountain, not an island, but the space between the known and the never-to-be known. Milky Way, the vault of the sky. Faint hum, like the sound of stars on radio static. In the high Arctic, under drifting ice and endless night, lies a facility built to outlast humanity itself. The Svalbard Global Seed Vault, carved into a frozen mountain. Its doors gleam like silver against the snow. It was made to guard life. Millions of seeds from every corner of Earth, sleeping, waiting, dreaming of spring. But even here, cameras are forbidden. Inside, it feels like a cathedral without gods. Corridors of frost, quiet as breath, lit only by blue emergency light. Scientists say it is a safeguard. Philosophers say it is a confession. Because when you build a vault for the world's last harvest, you are admitting that the end is thinkable, the city of no return. Further south, in the red sands of Australia, a vast expanse is marked on maps only as Woomera Prohibited Area. It stretches wider than England, but almost no one has ever seen its heart. Here, the ground is scarred by weapons tests, missiles that never had names, objects that fell from orbit and were never recovered. Satellite photos blur its center. The few who work there call it the Silent Range. At night, the desert glows faintly from radiation that no one measures. When the wind moves, it carries the sound of something that might be machinery, or might be the earth remembering. Hold the hollow earth, slow, echoing drip of water. In the frozen continent of Antarctica, there are zones where entry is not only banned, but impossible. Mount Erebus spits fire through ice. Beneath the Ross Ice Shelf, scientists have found tunnels carved by warm current, so deep that radar cannot map them. Some say these tunnels lead to an underground sea, others to caverns untouched since the dawn of life. A few whisper that whole ecosystems move down there, blind, eternal, and ancient. Governments say it's too dangerous to explore. But danger has always been another name for secrecy. The Chamber of Echoes, hidden under Rome, beneath the libraries of the Vatican, lies a place known only to a handful of men and women. The secret archives, miles of shelves, hundreds of years of locked boxes. They hold letters from kings, the trial records of Galileo, and documents so old their ink is made from crushed ash. Most will never be seen again. The air there is cool, metallic. If you whisper, your voice returns to you half a second late, as if time itself hesitates before answering. Some say among those papers is a book that describes the day before creation, the instant before light. Maybe that's why the archives are closed, because once you know how the world began, you might begin to wonder how it ends. Mantelpiece clock, the last gate. We've traveled through forbidden islands and sealed deserts, through vaults of fire and ice, through walls built to keep truth from touching daylight. But the greatest forbidden place isn't on any map. It's inside us. The space between curiosity and fear. The moment before you open the door. Humanity has always been a creature of trespass. We step where we're told not to. We ask what must not be asked. And sometimes we find wonders. Sometimes we find warnings. The forbidden places of Earth are mirrors. They show us what we protect and what we fear to lose. Soft piano returns. A single note repeats like a heartbeat. So if one night you find yourself standing at the edge of an unknown road and a sign says, "Do not enter," listen. Maybe it's not a warning. Maybe it's an invitation to remember that the world is larger than we think, and that mystery is not the enemy of truth, but its oldest friend. This was the most forbidden places on Earth. The journey ends here, at the last gate, but the silence beyond is still waiting. Part 6, The Ones Who Remember. Every secret eventually forgets its keeper. Time buries walls, oceans reclaim islands, and even silence grows tired of itself. But sometimes, in the ruins and echoes of forbidden places, you find something else. Not guards, not ghosts, but memory. Derelict house, the ghost stations. Old radio static. Morse code clicking faintly. Scattered across the world's shortwave bands. There are voices that no one claims. Numbers spoken by machines in tones too cold to be human. 5, 7, 9, over and over. No one knows who sends them. No one knows why. They are called number stations, a relic of the Cold War, still alive long after the war itself died. You can tune them with an old radio. Sometimes they play a fragment of music, a child's song, a few bars of violin, and then the counting begins again. Intelligence agencies deny them. Governments call them weather signals. But the voices never stop. They transmit through storms and wars and peace alike. It's as if the machines have forgotten their masters, but remember their purpose. The nameless vault, deep in the Swiss Alps, behind locked tunnels carved into living rock, there exists a place that cannot be photographed. It is said to be a data fortress. Servers buried beneath centuries of snow, holding the digital DNA of our age. Everything humanity ever made. Books, paintings, films, satellite images, even lost websites. Mirrored and stored in silence. They call it the Arctic World Archive, a vault for civilization itself. But what if the same idea was tried again? For people? Some whisper of another facility, unknown, where the frozen bodies of the forgotten rest. Not the rich, not the famous, but those chosen for their knowledge, their brains preserved, waiting for an age that can read them. If that's true, then maybe somewhere beneath the ice, the next century is already awake. Chains the island of machines. Rain, thunder, the faint hum of electricity. Off the coast of Japan, in the Seto Inland Sea, there stands a small, decaying island called Hashima. Once it was a coal mining city, the most densely populated place on Earth. Thousands lived stacked in concrete, surrounded by sea, smoke, and machines. Then one day, the mines ran dry. Everyone left. Now, Hiroshima is silent. Buildings collapsing like the ribs of a dead whale. No one is allowed to stay overnight. Drones fly over it, catching glimpses of dolls still sitting on school desks, metal lunchboxes rusted shut, and calendars that stopped in 1974. The island has begun to sink, not into the ocean, but into memory. Wind sweeps through broken hallways. Every year, the tide eats a little more. And one day soon, Hiroshima will vanish completely. The sea will erase the island's crimes. And with them, the last witnesses of what was done there. Because Hiroshima wasn't just a mine. It was also a prison. A place where men and children worked until they didn't move anymore. A place history tried to forget. And succeeded. The mirror desert. Soft glass-like tone. Echoing wind. In Bolivia, there's a place where the sky and the earth become one. It is called Sala de Uyuni, the Great Salt Mirror. During the rains, the desert becomes a perfect reflection of heaven. Pilots once lost their bearings here. Compasses spun horizons vanished. Some ancient myths say it is the roof of an old sea, a window to another world below. Travelers claim that, on certain nights, you can see shapes moving under the reflection, like silhouettes walking beneath the glass. Scientists say it's optical illusion, but illusions don't leave footprints. Candle the keeper of keys. Soft music returns, piano slow, melancholic. Every forbidden place has a keeper, someone who stands at the edge, not to protect what's inside, but to remember why it was locked away. A lighthouse in the dark sea, a caretaker in an abandoned observatory, a single guard walking the empty corridors of Mount Weather. They're the witnesses, the ones who stay when everyone else leaves. They keep the silence alive, and when they die, the world loses another piece of its memory. Faint sound of pens scratching on paper. Some say every century. A few of these keepers write to each other, letters that never cross borders, sealed and signed but always found, messages that begin the same way. To whoever stands watch after me, there are places you must never open, and there are doors you must never close. Crescent Moon, the Forgotten Map. Narrator, very soft, almost whispering. There's a story, old, half-believed, that long ago, before borders and satellites, the world was mapped differently. A hidden map, said to mark not where people live, but where truth sleeps. Copies were said to exist in secret orders, carried by explorers, burned by kings. No one has ever found one, at least not that we know of. But maybe that map was never meant to be drawn on paper. Maybe it exists only in the human mind, that instinct that pulls us toward the edge, the same voice that whispers, "Go, see, find." That voice built ships. It crossed oceans. It walked on the moon. And still it's not satisfied. Because mystery is not a wall. It's a mirror. And every time we look into it, we see ourselves. The most forbidden places on Earth were never meant to scare us. They were meant to remind us how small we are and how infinite the unknown still is. Maybe one day, when the maps are gone and the walls have fallen, Someone will find these stories and wonder what we were hiding from. Soft piano chord, silence, narrator, whisper. Until then, keep the secret and keep listening. Music fades into quiet, beyond earth. Soft hum, a pulse like a heartbeat, slow, mechanical. Then silence, a single breath. Narrator, low, measured. What happens when we run out of edges? When every map is filled, every continent crossed, and every ocean named? We look up. For thousands of years, the sky was our first forbidden place, the oldest boundary. The gods lived there, and we were told not to follow. But we did. We broke the sky, and in doing so, we found new mysteries waiting in its silence. New moon, the dark side of the moon, distant radio static, echo of a heartbeat through a helmet. When Apollo 8 first orbited the moon, the astronauts disappeared behind it for 48 minutes. No signal, no sound, just black silence. They called it the far side, but the world called it something else. The dark side of the moon. Officially, it's just shadow, a face turned away from Earth. But even now, strange signals bounce from that hemisphere. Bursts of radio noise that don't match any pattern of the sun, nor the hum of human machines. In 1969, a Soviet probe captured a blurred image, something geometric angular, standing where no crater should be. The file was stamped inconclusive. The next probe vanished. Low mechanical thrum, like a distant engine. China's Chang'e 4 mission landed there in 2019, the first to touch that hidden ground. For a brief moment, the feed flickered, then resumed. The official report mentioned an unusual gel-like substance. No one has explained what it was. Perhaps the far side of the moon is not simply the unseen half, but the half that's watching back. The black night. Shortwave static morphs into a low hum. For decades, astronomers have spoken of an object that should not exist. An ancient satellite in polar orbit, older than all human flight. They call it the Black Night. In 1954, newspapers wrote of strange echoes in radio signals, delays that came back seconds later, as if something up there was listening and answering. Then came the photographs, dark shapes drifting above the Earth, captured by military cameras. NASA said it was space debris, but when asked to identify which satellite, no one could agree. The object vanished, then returned years later in the same orbit. Always silent, always watching. Faint metallic ping, like sonar underwater. Scientists say it's a thermal blanket. Engineers say it's a trick of light. But myths say it's been there for 13,000 years. A relic from a civilization that came before us. Ring planet, the red planet's whisper. Soft sandstorm sound like wind through hollow rock. In 1976, NASA's Viking 1 orbiter photographed Mars and sent back an image that startled the world. A colossal formation shaped like a human face, staring upward from the Cydonia region. NASA later said it was shadows. But shadows don't cast perfect symmetry. They don't align to mathematical ratios. For decades, the face on Mars haunted imaginations. Then, new satellites passed over it in 2001, and the shape had changed. Eroded, melted, gone, as if someone didn't want us to look too long. Soft echo of wind, Then a heartbeat sound fades in. Mars has always been our mirror. A world like ours, once alive, now dry and watching. But rovers still send back sounds. The creak of dust. The faint electric hum that shouldn't exist in thin air. Scientists call it static. But sometimes, late at night, the microphones pick up something else. A rhythm, almost like breathing. The silent zone, radio static, fades into a deep hum. Between the stars and our signal, there are dead spaces, zones where radio dies, and even light travels slower than memory. Astronomers once called them voids. But in 2019, a telescope detected a repeating pulse from one of those dark regions. It came every 16 days, like a heartbeat through time. No one could find the source. It wasn't a star. It wasn't a galaxy. It was something else. Then the signal stopped, mid-cycle, as if it knew we were listening. The Lost Voyagers. In 1977, NASA launched 2 small ships into eternity, Voyager 1 and Voyager 2. They carried music, Bach, Beethoven, greetings in 50 languages, and a map of where to find us. A golden record for whoever might be out there. In 2012, Voyager 1 crossed the edge of the solar system. Then, something strange happened. For a brief moment, the instruments detected a sound, a low vibration, like wind moving through a hollow tunnel. It wasn't cosmic radiation. It wasn't a glitch. It was a tone, deliberate, somewhere beyond the sun's reach. Something touched Voyager, and then let it go. Today, it still travels outward. A lonely ghost carrying the memory of our planet. Every day, the signal grows weaker, but sometimes faintly, Earth still whispers back. The edge of knowing we wanted to map everything, to name every star, every atom, every sound. But the deeper we go into the universe, the more it looks back like a mirror, infinite, silent, and familiar. Maybe the most forbidden place was never out there. Maybe it was the idea that we could ever own the unknown. The moon, Mars, the stars. They aren't asking us to conquer them. They're asking us to listen. Long pause. Soft wind fades into orchestral. The journey has taken us across Earth and beyond it. From islands that kill intruders to skies that hide their eyes. And what have we learned? That mystery is not the absence of knowledge. It is the presence of wonder. The forbidden is not what we can't reach. It's what we can't yet understand. So as Voyager drifts into the dark, as signals fade into silence, and as we look up one last time, remember, the sky is still forbidden, because it's still waiting for us. This is not the end, only the next frontier. Part 8. The Hidden Universe. Once upon a time, we believed the universe was everything we could see. Stars, planets, galaxies. But now we know the truth. We see less than 5%. Everything else, the other 95%, is invisible, unseen, untouchable. Yet it shapes every star, every world, every breath we take. They call it dark matter. But maybe it's not dark at all. Maybe it's just hidden. Milky Way, the invisible web. Gentle strings rise like starlight forming threads. Scientists say the cosmos is a web, a vast lattice of invisible filaments, connecting galaxies like beads on a thread. We can't see the web, but we can feel its pull. It bends light, curves time, and holds everything in place. like the skeleton of creation itself. And yet, no one knows what it is. Some believe it's matter we can't detect. Others say it's a shadow, a reflection from another universe, running parallel to our own, a ghost universe, touching ours in silence. Low echo, like distant thunder among stars. Every few billion years, these hidden webs collide, realities brushing past one another, creating bursts of energy so powerful they light up the emptiness for a heartbeat. To scientists, these are cosmic collisions, but to philosophers, they are memories, moments when the universe remembers itself. Pull the black holes. Slow hum. The sound of something being pulled away. They are the darkest places in creation. So heavy, so dense, that even light cannot escape. For centuries, we thought they were monsters, cosmic devourers that consumed all things. But now we know better. Black holes don't just destroy, they remember. When something falls into a black hole, it is not erased. Its information, its pattern, is stored on the event horizon, like the grooves of a cosmic record. And if you could decode that record, you might read the memory of a star or a soul. In 2019, the first photograph of a black hole was revealed, a fiery ring glowing like an eye. But what most people don't know is that the image flickered. Just for a second, a bright pulse shot from the center, too brief to analyze, too strange to explain. Some say it was energy escaping. Others believe it was something else, a message from the other side of time. Cyclone, the mirror universe. Soft chime, almost musical, like two tones overlapping. Every equation of physics has a twin. Every particle, a mirror. Every motion, an opposite. So what if there's another universe, running backward through time, a mirror reflection of ours, where our past is their future? In 2020, scientists in Antarctica detected particles moving upward through the Earth, as if falling in reverse. They called it an anomaly, but the pattern repeated. Some whispered of a reverse universe, colliding with ours in the cold of the South Pole. Distant wind, crackling ice sounds. If true, it means time is not a straight line, but a loop, a breath, an endless heartbeat, where everything that dies here is born there. Maybe the afterlife isn't above or below. Maybe it's simply on the other side of the mirror. Shooting star, the dream of reality. Music softens, piano and distant choir. For centuries, mystics have said that the world we see is only a shadow, a dream within a greater dream. Now, science is beginning to agree. Quantum physics tells us that nothing truly exists until it is observed. Particles flicker in and out of existence, depending on whether we are watching. Reality itself responds to our awareness, as if the universe is alive, and we are part of its imagination. In 2019, the first photograph of a black hole was revealed, a fiery ring glowing like an eye. But what most people don't know is that the image flickered. Just for a second, a bright pulse shot from the center, too brief to analyze, too strange to explain. Some say it was energy escaping. Others believe it was something else, a message from the other side of time. Cyclone, the mirror universe. Every equation of physics has a twin. Every particle, a mirror. Every motion, an opposite. So what if there's another universe, running backward through time, a mirror reflection of ours, where our past is their future. In 2020, scientists in Antarctica detected particles moving upward through the Earth, as if falling in reverse. They called it an anomaly, but the pattern repeated. Some whispered of a reverse universe, colliding with ours in the cold of the South Pole. If true, it means time is not a straight line, but a loop, a breath, an endless heartbeat, where everything that dies here is born there. Maybe the afterlife isn't above or below. Maybe it's simply on the other side of the mirror. Shooting star, the dream of reality. For centuries, mystics have said that the world we see is only a shadow, a dream within a greater dream. Now, science is beginning to agree. Quantum physics tells us that nothing truly exists until it is observed. Particles flicker in and out of existence, depending on whether we are watching. Reality itself responds to our awareness, as if the universe is alive, and we are part of its imagination. What if consciousness is not inside us, but around us? What if the mind we call our own is a single thought in the brain of creation? Maybe that's why black holes remember, why galaxies align like neural networks, why silence between stars feels like a pause between thoughts. Milky Way, the forbidden equation. In 2024, an astrophysicist named Dr. Alina Fry was studying wave interference near a pulsar cluster. She noticed a pattern hidden in the background radiation, a mathematical structure repeating endlessly. When translated into sound, it formed a perfect chord, E minor, a note of sadness, looping forever. She called it the lament of creation. And when asked what it meant, she said only this: the universe is singing to itself. If the universe can sing, can it dream? Can it remember us? Maybe that's what we are, memories of the cosmos, wondering what it means to exist. Crescent moon, the edge of knowing. Soft hum fades, replaced by slow orchestral strings. We began this journey on Earth, in deserts and jungles, temples and tombs, islands and ruins. We followed whispers through caves and looked up to the stars. And now, we stand at the edge of everything. There are no maps here, no names, only silence and the sound of our own heartbeat, echoing across eternity. Maybe the universe is not a place. Maybe it's a question, and maybe the answer is you. Music swells, voices of distant choirs fading into starlight. Narrator, final calm. We've searched the earth for forbidden places. We've crossed oceans and galaxies. But the last secret was never out there. It was here, in the space between moments, the breath between thoughts, the silence between stars. The hidden universe has been inside us all along. Finale, the silence beyond. We had traveled far, across deserts of dust and seas of salt, through tunnels of ice, and into the black oceans between the stars. We have seen gates that no one may open, and walls that no one may cross. But in the end, every path led us to the same truth. The greatest mysteries are not hidden by governments or buried beneath mountains. They are hidden by time, by memory, by the simple fact that we forget. Soft piano enters. Every forbidden place began as a question. Who built this? Why was it sealed? What do they fear? And somewhere long ago, someone whispered the same thing you're thinking now. I need to know. That whisper, that ache for the unknown, is what makes us human. It's why we climb mountains, sail oceans, and look up at the stars. Because even when we are surrounded by mystery, we don't turn away. We reach out. We listen. But maybe not all secrets are meant to be solved. Maybe some exist only to remind us that wonder still lives in the dark. And that's enough. One day, the ruins will crumble. The stars will fade. The universe will grow quiet again. But until then, we will keep searching. Not for power, not for truth, but for meaning. Because mystery is not the end of understanding. It is the beginning of imagination. Narrator, final, almost a whisper. And so, our journey ends, but listen closely. The world is still speaking. In stone, in wind, in silence. Every forbidden place, every hidden story is just another way for the universe to say, "You are part of me." Narrator, thank you for traveling with us. Until the next mystery, good night.